All right, hello. Hello. I'm Wallaber, and I'm back again, continuing to work on this little Twitch chat game that I've been making. We're going to just kind of jump right in here and pick up where we left off. I'd like to try and make some good progress tonight. The concept of the game is coming along pretty well, and we're gonna work on just a few things here. In fact, this I want to I have this little like counting timer thing, and I think I want this to actually be in front of the board. Oh wait, we can just move the whole thing. Let's see. I think we want the whole thing in front. Whoa, hey Matzi, 2 months has gone by very fast, hasn't it? Welcome. How's it going? What have you been up to? I don't think you were streaming today, were you? Okay. This can be like 100. This can be 110. This can be 120, something like that. Yeah, okay, just Tuesdays and Saturdays. Gotcha. I don't know if you dropped by Sympathy's stream today, but she had an epic stream today that was really fun. Tell me everything you know about dependency injection. Ooh. Very little. Possibly nothing. Yeah, Matzi, don't you know Sympathy? She's another live code streamer. Yes, you do. You were messing with me. I don't know anything about dependency injection, like at all. I can kind of guess what it is. I really don't know. Let's see. Do I have a thing? Does this thing work? Yeah, there you go. Sympathy is awesome. She's really, really fun to watch dev streamer. She's mostly been making stuff in Unity, and she's also making a chat game right now. But she's just like the coolest and funnest to watch, most wholesome and yet funny dev streamer. She's great. And it was her birthday today, so she had like a epic long stream today. It was quite fun. Okay. I want to add in the ghost version of the ball, I think. So we're going to do this. We're going to add in another one, and we're going to call this ghost visuals. And this is going to be just a single color. It's going to be like a translucent gray. Okay. The ball we have set on 50, so let's make this 49. Okay, and then the ball script is going to need to know about this. Feel free to educate me, Matzi, on dependency injection. I mean, I can kind of guess, you know, the basic idea of it, but... Didn't invest, yeah, DI. I mean, I can certainly understand if you have like a complicated code with lots of like sub modules or libraries or things you're using. And as a way of, I imagine you asked me this kind of in the context of asking about things like global state and singletons and stuff like that. So if it's sort of like a way to say, hey, I am going to need information from this module over there or something, and somehow sort of articulate that, I can see how that would make sense. Inversion of control. No, not heard of it. Okay, ghost visuals. And then when we reset, we will also set local position to 0. Let's see. Maybe, I don't know, maybe actually having this as like a child of the ball is kind of dumb. Let's not do this. Let's go like this. Let's leave this alone. Let's just make a separate thing. It's a way to manage all the dependencies across objects and ensure when you use a certain object you get the right instance. Not necessarily required for large projects, but in game dev I assume that's where it'd be used more. All the common practices I know and follow are just not much of a thing. Yeah, it does seem like web and application dev and game dev sort of kind of evolved on parallel paths and solved a lot of problems in their own ways, with a lot of overlap, but also a lot of things that are specific to sort of the types of problems that were arising, right? Let's do this. We're going to have a ghost ball, and this one is going to have the simple gray like this. We decided it was going to be on 49 like that. And then the board can be aware of both the regular ball. I was thinking that isn't that game dev has evolved. A lot of the coding styles are a bit antiquated from app dev, but I think that's because it doesn't matter. Well, and you also have to remember that there's a huge thing with performance on games. And so, you know, there's a real hesitancy to adopt any of these like modern languages with constructs that, you know, ostensibly make allow you to operate at higher and higher levels, because then you have performance implications, you know. Yeah, I know there's performance stuff in app dev, but it's not, I believe they are sort of solving still for slightly different performance constraints. I don't really know though, you know. All I really know is basic game dev junk, and my version of game dev is fairly, you know, specific to sort of like small project indie stuff. I mean, I worked in bigger teams, but most of my professional experience was also in mobile, and those teams were not that big. And coming from more of a design background than a hardcore CS background means I'm very much in the school of practicality and you know, not so much into the academic side of things. Like, people will start talking about, oh, is this, you know, is this an O-N or O, you know, squared or whatever notation, and I like understand those things, but don't tend to participate in those debates and discussions very much, because I tend to just focus more on like acting like a craftsman, like here's the tools, let's get the job done. Okay, so we're gonna have this extra thing called a shadow ball, so that we can do things like this, where when we are simulating, which is right here, we can see. This one we're gonna do both at once here. Wait, what did I call it? Shadow, not ghost. Of course, I called it something different here. Let's fix that. We're gonna call it ghost everywhere, I think. Oops, hang on, let me turn the music down a little bit. I don't know if it's as loud as it is for you guys as it is for me, but... Okay, back here. Oh, no problem, Matzi. See you when and if you have time to come back. No biggie. Alright, wait, I forgot. I was going to call this... Let's be consistent. We're calling it the ghost ball. Even though shadow ball's kind of cooler. Okay. Okay. And then down here, when we say set visible... Okay, we can do that, and then we can say public void place ghost. I keep doing this. place the ghost ball with a position. Okay. Let's do it like this, actually. Okay. So now the game manager says when it's time to sim, turn off both of them. Not flasse, false. Okay. And then when we turn back on, we're just going to set the main ball to visible. And then for our reveal sequence here, what we can do is when we hit the end here of each one, right here, we should, or let's see, not here. Right here. We can say current board dot set ball visible to turn them both on. And then we can say current board dot place the ghost ball and place it at the current ball's position. Okay. And then that should be enough for now. When we get into here, we should turn off these. Okay, so the goal for today is to try and get the score recap flow working. Oh wait, we can't run this yet because we need to indicate to the test board that we have a ghost ball. There it is. Okay, let's run it now. Okay, why isn't it placed? Where is it? Oh, right. This, let's unpack this prefab. Pew. And let's get rid of the rigid body. Let's get rid of the collider. Let's get rid of the recordable. It is still, it doesn't even really need to be have a ball on it actually. It should just be an empty game object. So that means we need to change this, where this is just a game object. Okay. And does that change much? We would just do this. Okay. Probably got another compiler error in here somewhere. No? Okay. So now this can be signified as the ghost ball. Now if we run this, what I'm hoping for, there you go, is you get the little ghost ball at the end of each replay trail, like that. And I guess we should have it move with it when it's pushing it past the edge. So let's see, how can we do that? We can do that by going into our, right here, on the first loop, let's see. Yeah, we could say if current frame is greater than prev end frame, then current board dot place ghost ball at the current board's balls transform dot position. Let's see, I think that will work. There it is, and then when we move on right here, we bring the ghost ball with us. Yeah, cool. Okay. So that's the basic idea. Okay, we've lost our text. That's probably because these are now operating on with an offset to their order, render order, which may be tricky to order and layer. Here we go. Aha, okay, cool. So we'll just continue to cheat by doing stuff like this. All right. Okay. Now, what else should we do real quick here to clean this up before we... Or maybe we should just try to... Well, let's get these numbers being placed properly and turn them into a prefab of some kind. I think that's a good idea. So we're going to go like this. We're going to say... Yeah, let's make a little prefab. So this will be bucket indicator. And it's going to have like a frame, which I think we're just going to make a little circle or something. So let's do that. We'll go to shapes, disk. Okay. So this is going to be our example bucket indicator. Whoa, why does it, when I hit F, it freaks out sometimes? Very frustrating. There we go. Okay. So this is just going to be a little outline thing. So I don't know what, let's make it like orange for now. You know? Just a little happy orange. I guess we'll do it like that. And this is going to be like 0.5 or so in size. And then we can add some text. It should be a sibling, I think. Okay, we're going to scale this down like that. We're going to do our disgusting order and layer stuff. So we want these to be very much in front of things. So like 500 for this. So then this one can be 501. All right, does that work? Or do I have to give it a little Z? No. Can they not go that high? Maybe not. Oh, it's probably working. It's just that gizmo. Yeah, okay. This is the gizmo. Okay, so this could be 500. And this will be 501. Down here. Right here. Yeah, 501. Okay. And this is just going to be the number. So it's going to be centered like that. There we go. Okay. All right, it's going to be bigger than this though. Maybe we make this like that. Later I need to get a font in this project. But until that point, this will have to do. I don't know, maybe making these a circle makes it feel like there's some kind of extra ball or thing you're going to collide with. Yeah. Let's see. What else have we got? We could make it a rounded rectangle. I don't know. Let's leave it as a disk for now. Let's undo this. Okay. Let's call this okay for the moment. This is going to be our little indicator of buckets. Okay. So this is going to need a script on it. Okay. So we're going to make a script called bucket indicator. And this is mostly just going to be a pretty empty script. It's just going to hold on to a reference to the disk, just in case we need it, and then a reference, most importantly, to the text mesh pro, the text, and we'll call it the label. And then we can just have like a public void set number int n, and we're just going to be like label.text equals n.toString. We don't care about any formatting or anything at the moment. These are all going to be tiny numbers. Okay. My 5-month-old still sleeps best when go up and down the stairs. Nice. Yeah, I remember those days for sure. 576 stairs up and down. Dang. It's a good workout though, so you're getting a 2-for-1 deal there. Okay, now we want level board is gonna need to know about this. Where else? Where's the like bucket junk? Here it is. Okay, so we're gonna be like serialized field private bucket indicator, and this is going to be bucket indicator prefab, and then we're going to have a list of these that we're keeping track of. Okay, so now when we go down here and we actually create the buckets right here, we had some logic here where we're already placed at an opportune moment here when we're making the trigger, where this value called cur pos, which is like our current position as we walk along placing things to make the buckets, is in the center of the current bucket. Should be right here. So let's do this. Also create the bucket indicator. So we'll go instantiate one. Probably should be pooling these. But let's just worry about getting it working. So we're going to instantiate the bucket indicator from our prefab, this one. And then we're going to might as well set its parent to us. Okay. Right. And then we can essentially do something very similar to this, right? Yeah. So the indicator's transformed local position is going to be current position, and then this is a vertical offset here, which we may also want one of these for the indicators as well. So let's give ourselves a field for that. What is this? Bucket indicator vertical offset. Okay. So that down here, right here, we'll plop this in here like that. And we need to add it to our list. We also need to do indicator.set number, set that to i+1, and then add it to our list, just in case we need to reference it later. Okay, so now I should be able to get rid of these temp command prompts that I had hanging out here in the scene. And now I can take this thing called the bucket indicator. I can add my script to it, give it a reference to its quote-unquote frame and its text, and then we can make this into a prefab. Then we can get this out of the scene and go to our test board and tell it about bucket indicator prefabs and give it an offset of 0. Okay, so now if I run the bottom, we should see our 3 little indicators. Cool. So there you go, bucket 1, 2, and 3. Nice. Okay. We're getting somewhere. What else did we want to put in here? Oh yeah. Okay. I wanted to add like a little status, like a little running ticker that kind of gives you some text input on what's happening. And for now, we're going to use it so that we can showcase when votes are registered. So what we're going to do, this is going to be, once again, very simple. Yeah. It's a little, let's make it like its own high-level prefab, okay? So this is going to be the, what are we going to call this? Event log. Love it. That's the name for it. And this is, I think for now, just going to have a single TextMesh Pro in it. We'll scale it down just so we can kind of, let's turn the gizmos back on. Okay. So we're going to want the pivot to be at 1, 1, the upper right. So I can place this like right here. And then we can kind of set how big this log is going to be. And this text is going to be smaller than that. It's going to be fairly small. It's going to be right aligned like that. Okay, now that doesn't visually look great. Let's see. Okay, so something like this is, and we might need a little backing behind this, but we'll see. Yeah. So this would be showing something. It would be like username blah voted. You know, username longer than that did stuff. So now, yeah, the question is, I guess we should let this be fairly wide here. And I gotta decide how big this is. It's gotta be readable, at least vaguely readable. At the same time, we don't want it to take up too much space on the stream. You know, this size we're seeing here, it's roughly how big this game is gonna be in a stream. Like if it were in this stream, it would be about this big, but it would be placed, you know, over here somewhere probably, or something like that. So that's probably right on the edge of not readable, I would assume. Let's see. We can make it a little bigger. And probably what we would do is we will set this to not overflow, but to use ellipses. So in this case, did wrapping is disabled. There you go. So if we try to say something too long, it's still always going to be constrained to one line, which I think is going to be fine for now. And then we can decide later maybe if we need to improve this or not. Okay, so this is going to be the log text. So this is going to be super simple. We're going to make a script for this called, you guessed it, event log. And event log, its job is just to display messages and keep them around for a little while. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be very simple. We're going to give it a reference to our TextMesh Pro. So this is our text. Okay, and then we're going to have private class log event. Or we'll just call it event. I don't like calling things that are gonna, yeah. Logged event, why not? It'll be verbose. So then this is gonna have the content, and then it's gonna have public float, you know, time remaining. It'll be very simple. And we're also gonna have a thing up here that says event display duration, which is going to be what, probably 5 seconds. I don't know, we'll see. And then we're also going to have a thing which is a private int, which is max events to display, which I think is probably going to be like 8 or something. Maybe 10. Let's set it to 10. Okay. So then this is going to be pretty simple. It's going to have a method where we say log event, and you just give it the content of the event. And of course, we're going to need a list of these. Yeah, so we could do some fancy data type, but we don't need to. We're just going to make it a list of logged events. Okay, boom. And then all we're going to do here is we're just going to create a new logged event, and we're going to pass through the content. And then we're going to set the time remaining to whatever our display duration is. Okay, and then we're going to just add that. Events dot add. Add E. Okay. And then we need to call refresh display. Okay, and we're also going to have a public void update. Any events to remove? Question mark. So in theory, so these are going to they're going to come in order, right? So our list is going to be like that. The older ones are earlier in the list. Now it's certainly possible that we're going to get multiple events on like the same frame or something, so we might as well write this kind of like, the cheese way to do this would be like, just look at the first one on the list, and if it's time to get rid of it, because next frame we can look at the next one. This should probably be fine. But I guess I might as well try and write it like where it's possible that multiple events could expire in the same frame. So what we'll do, yeah, we'll try like this. We could be like while, let's see, while events, events dot count is greater than 0, and events 0. These get Boolean statements get executed in order. So when you have something where you chain ands together, at least in C#, it is safe to do this because it will execute this first, and if this fails, it will early out and it won't evaluate these further instructions or further comparisons. And so if I say event count has to be greater than 0, then it's safe here to like look at entry 0, because if we made it this far into the chain of questioning here, into the chain of questioning here, then there must be an event 0. Wait, I don't want to do it this way. Let me think about this for a second. Let's just do the first. Let's do the first thing, right? We want to loop through all of them. Okay. And then right up here will be like, float elapsed equals time dot delta time or whatever. And then here we want to do, events I dot time remaining minus equals elapsed, right? Then down here we got to go figure out which ones to remove. So here what we could do is we could say while. This is going to be our loop here. So while events dot count is greater than 0, and events 0 dot time remaining is less than or equal to 0.0f, then we're going to do events dot remove at 0. So look, if we've still got something in the list, and the first thing in the list has expired, get rid of it. And then this will execute again, and it will either run out of events, or will happen upon the 0th event has some positive time remaining, in which case we would exit this loop as well. So this essentially should clean up. And if we do this, so we need to do bool did cleanup is false. If we make it into here, we're going to say did cleanup is true, so that down here we could say if did cleanup refresh display. And then we just need our method down here, private void refresh display, and this is just going to produce the text we need. I'm just going to do this with straight up string manipulation, even though this does generate some garbage for the garbage collector, which you should be weary of doing. I think we could do it better if we use a string builder, but we're just gonna plow through this, you know. So this is just going to loop through. Now the oldest ones, we want this display to be like something happens and then a new thing happens and it pushes down the other one, and then a new thing happens and it pushes down the other one. So what we want to do is we want to go for, let's see, we essentially want to go in reverse order. So we'll say start is what? Ideally, it would be just events.count -1, right? We want to start the last one. But what if it's too many? Which is this thing. Max events to display. So this means we only want to ever go up to 9. So what we have to do is we have to say we actually want the minimum between this number and max -1. So that we can go for int I equals start. I is, oops, no, is start. I is greater than or equal to 0, I minus minus. So we're going to walk our way backwards. We're going to say content plus equals events I dot content plus a new line. Okay. And that'll probably work. Let's do this. So on start, we're going to refresh our display, which should just clear it out. So that way if I leave some junk here in the scene, it won't, when I hit run, it'll go away. Okay, so here's our event log. Add the script, give it the text it should be using. Okay, and now we just need someone to talk to this thing. So let's go to prefabs and set that up. And then we can have game manager is the one who's going to want to be aware of this. So let's go here. And yeah, do I have the board just manually? I do. Okay. So we would put this here. Yeah, we'll just put it here for now. Private. Event log. So now we should be able to start showing things on screen. So for example, in here, where it's down here, I mean all this junk, I want to be replacing this soon, but for now, right here, we can actually be like log event, and this event would be username already voted, and then this one would be log event username voted. Okay, so those are our only real ones for now. And then I guess what we could do is we could toss one in here where when we go through the results, we could just try this where we log was right, log e.username plus was wrong, and then here just for now let's include this too, e.username was AFK question mark. Okay. All right, now we're probably gonna pretty soon have to add the ability of having some fake users, so we can start testing what it would be like to have more people participating simultaneously with this thing and see how our UI handles it. But let's see how this looks. So now if we go to Game Manager, we tell it about our event log, and we run it. Did not clear it. Did not clear it because we never actually set the text, which is right here. We built a whole string and we didn't do anything with it. So there we go. All right, so now if I vote, you know, let's see, where's this one going? This one's going in 2. We should see Wallaber voted. Okay, we need spaces there. And Grare voted. And then these things are deleting themselves. That Ski Freak was right. We didn't have enough space to even say that, so that's kind of a problem. All right, let's put this back to slightly more realistic tuning. So let's see here. That's here in Game Manager in our steps. And before I had it set to where 12.5 seconds felt pretty good. So let's try it like that. Okay, now I feel like maybe the logs need to show longer. Let's say that they show for 15 seconds. Okay, so where's this one going? I'm gonna say it's going in 2. Let's see if it says it. Okay, well, we're voted. Now if I try to revote. Well, we're already voted. Okay, cool. And then those things should be disappearing from the bottom up. There we go. It'd be cool if they faded out or something, but that's generally working. Yep, needs a space. I cut that as well, Ski Freak. We'll go fix that in a second. It did go in 2 though, look at this. So now, here, when it finally goes in, right here, showing the last one, we gotta fix that bar going off the edge. And it's only showing one person was right here. Even though, here, it's printing out all 3 of us. So what have I done wrong there? Oh, where's it going? Yeah, so question, over here in my game view, how readable is that text? Can I make it any smaller? Probably not, right? Needs more contrast? Okay, we can add an outline around the text for sure. Okay, so let's fix the few things we've noticed here. So first off, yeah, I'm not going to be able to go too much farther without getting a proper font in here. But for the moment, let's go look at this. And we're going to create a new material preset. We'll call this event log. So now I can go here and say, yeah, I want to use the event log settings, so we can mess around with this now. We can add an outline. Yep, and then we're going to need to dilate this a bit. Like that. Like that. It's going to look better. Yeah. All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll just let this go super wide. Like this. Question is, can this thing even fit 10 lines? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'll just keep going though, won't it? No, it won't. So we actually need to let this be big enough to handle our use case here. I also need to remind myself, it should be that if we get things happening really fast, that they push the old ones off the edge. Why not make the screen wider? Well, mostly because I'm intending this game to be constantly visible during a stream, not like something you switch to once in a while. So I want it to be tall and skinny, because in theory, like it would be over here, behind my head or something. You know, or not behind my head, but I mean like over here, or that you could integrate this into your stream and it wouldn't take up too much screen space to not want it to be there, is the basic idea. Okay, so maybe we should add in some quick, let's add in some fake players real quick. Because we've got here, right, we have these like fake players. We have user entries. Just leave it as a thing for viewers to do, rather than taking up the streamer's time. Yeah, the idea is that it's not intended to sort of take over the entire stream. It's supposed to be something that's sort of idly going on, which is part of the reason I don't mind it being kind of slow-paced. I think we'll have to. Once this thing is close to working, I'm going to integrate it into my stream, and we're going to try it and see how it works. And it'll be really weird for a while, I think, while we have it running, and then we're making a different version of it on the stream at the same time. It's going to be very confusing. Let's do this though real quick. So we're going to say this is debug. So public int debug user count. So let's have it add, like, I don't know, 30 people or something. And we'll just do a thing for now. Public bool is debug. So that we can automate guessing for these fake people. Did you make your trailer for the Pro Gymnast game? Well, there are 2 trailers for the game. One of them, the one that's like got the exciting music and oh yeah. So the one with the book at the beginning, I made that thing in Blender, the book at the beginning. But I did hire an editor to help me edit it all together. So I made the book intro like CG thing, and then I captured all the footage from the game, and then had a really excellent editor who helped me edit it together and put it to music. And then there's another trailer that's a little more of like all my life I was a gymnast, and it's like me narrating it. I made that one, of course, myself. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create fake players. Yeah, they're both on my YouTube channel. Debug user count I++, and we gotta make ourselves a fake user here. So, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll just be like user entry fake user equals new user entry. Let's use this cool initializer thing. So we need to give them a user ID, which is just going to be I. You give them a username, which is faker plus I plus 1. Right, user ID. Oh, it's a string. Okay, so this is just gonna be I.toString. Who cares? I haven't looked at the game since I don't even have the means to buy it. Yeah, I understand that. Hopefully, at some point, I'm sure I'll put it on sale on Steam. Maybe you can check it out then. Let's see, what else do we need on this? Pending vote, pending score, cumulative score, those are all nothing. And then we set is debug to true. Okay, and then we say, yeah, user entries, fake user.user ID equals fake user. So now they exist in our list. There's a channel for Wallaber. I have an old channel that's like me, and then there's one that's actually for my new games and stuff. Here, let me look it up. Let's see. Your channel. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So now that we made fake users, we need them to vote. Yeah, I should. My old YouTube channel has like a video where I talk about making the other channel, but you're right. That's not going to be as visible to people. So how do I want to handle fake voting? Because we'd like them to sort of vote randomly throughout the course of the reveal. What we could do is when we get here into reveal, we clear out the pending votes, and then we say prep fake votes. So this would be like, we're going to have a, let's see, how do we want to do this? We need a little bit of temporary data. Yeah, I mean, I guess, maybe what we do, trying to think of a simple way to do this where I don't introduce a whole bunch of extra like data into the system just to test things. But we're going to be using this for a while. I'm apparently a pro shortcutter in Trackmania. Nice. That's right. We were talking about that last time. Let's see. I mean, I guess what I'll do is I'll just be like public. Int debug vote step, and then public float debug vote interp. Let's do this. This is going to be kind of whatever. It should be fine. So what we'll do here is we're going to decide when they're all going to vote. Oh, sorry, Matsi, I missed your question. Is that Sparkle type thing a plugin? Yeah, it's a plugin. It's a. Let me see if I can look up the name of it. It's pretty dumb. It's called Power Mode for Visual Studio Code. And you can set different effects you want when you type. I thought it would make my stream slightly more visually interesting. So that when we're just typing code, at least you get to see some sparkles happen. All right, so let's see. Decide when the fakers will vote. So for each, we're just going to loop through this again. I'm keeping it as a separate loop so that, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't even notice it. Let's see. If KVP, well, let's just get the user entry e equals kvp.value, and then we say if e.isDebug. Then we'll say e.step equals random range between 0 and reveal steps dot length -1. Right? Or does random range, is that exclusive? It's exclusive. Okay, so we actually want like this. No, we still want -1 because the last step is a non-voting step. And then we can be like e.debug vote interp equals random.value. All right, so then all we have to do. Oh, and we're not deciding what they're going to vote right here, but we don't care because we'll get to it here. So then what we do is, yeah. So right. Let me see. This is where we're actually looping through and playing back, and then here's where we move to the next step. So inside here, I have no idea, that Ski Freak, if I assume you're talking about Pro Gymnast, if it works okay in Proton or in Wine. I have no idea. No one's tried it. You know, I made this game in Unity, so in theory, I could make a Linux build, but I'm not really set up to support it properly, so I haven't. And so here, we're going to fake voting. So then what we can do is we just need to loop through again, like this, right here. Okay. So let's make that pretty. Make that pretty. Whoops, 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 whoops. Oh, that's why. Okay. There we go. Make that pretty. So if it's debug and e.step equals I, right? Yeah, equals I. Kind of irritating, but hardly anyone uses this. Yeah, I know. It's, you know, I mean, I'm currently supporting a Mac version of the game, even though no one really buys that either. And that's just because I was almost exclusively a Mac user for quite some time. And actually built a game, like half of the game was built on a Mac, and then I switched over to Windows. So I'm supporting Mac at the moment, but it's a lot of work to support as well. And as you can imagine, the ratio of sales is not very incentivizing to put a lot of effort into it. Okay, so then we need to do this. We need to say float step interp, and that's going to be just how far are we through this current step. And that is this stuff right here. So what this is going to be is it's going to be mathf dot. How's the game doing on sales anyway? I don't know. I don't know if I should be disappointed or grateful. It's somewhere in a spot where I do feel a certain disconnect between the amount of people who've streamed it and made YouTube videos about it, which, I don't know. I felt like gave the game a certain amount of exposure, but it hasn't translated into the amount of sales. If I hadn't made the game and I had seen how many people streamed it and how much YouTube video content was created, I would have guessed higher sales than the game has right now. I should put it that way. But being that this is my first time releasing a game like this in this way, I have no idea if it's, you know, performing much worse than its peers or not, you know? I don't know. So, you know, certainly not not unhappy with the results, but I feel like there's room for improvement. We'll see. Okay, so what we want here is we want to know... Actually, we have it right here. We already have it. Progress. So let's just clamp progress. I don't know why I'm clamping it here all of a sudden. In fact, why am I doing that? Let's do this right here. That's too many parentheses, I think. Okay, so then what we can do is we can say... Yeah, then we can do where we say... may I ask why you use Mac anyway? Well, mostly because I was doing so much work in mobile. Well, let me say first that just as a normal computer user, I actually really like Macs a lot. The day-to-day experience is fantastic in the OS, and so I like them. And I was doing a lot of mobile development, so most of my dev was targeted at eventually producing iOS as the main builds and then Android builds as the secondary builds. So that became my main computing devices. And when I bought myself a computer, I would just buy a nice Mac laptop kind of thing. Then I also got really interested in VR, and so I got a PC for that. And then as we've been finishing up this game, I've been working more and more on Windows. Now I'm pretty much entirely on Windows these days. You can emulate iOS on Mac. You can't really emulate it, but they have like a simulator you can use while you're testing games. But that only really works for native development. If you're using something like Unity, the simulator's not a lot of fun to use. But you can just like connect your phone up and, you know, run things pretty quickly. Okay, so if we're on the step we wanted to vote on, and then we say if, and I guess we need to have not voted yet. And e dot pending vote is less than 0. Then we can say if e dot interp is less than or equal to progress, then we need to vote now. And so we're going to just say when we actually vote, all we do down here is we set the pending vote and set the pending score. So we'll do it that way. Current vote score is a thing we've got, so we can just use that. So we'll say e dot pending vote equals random dot range 0 what is it, current board bucket. Oh, do we have a list of the buckets here somewhere? I'm not sure if we do. Let's see. Bucket count is a thing up here, but it's private, so let's just give a getter to it. Okay. So then here we can say current board dot bucket count. This is going to be exclusive, so that should be fine. And then we can say e dot pending score equals current vote score. Okay, now this isn't going to show a log. We could fake it instead by doing this. We can fake that we got a chat command. And it's going to be from e.userid, e.username. We could do it this way. And then random.range. This is good because it'll go more through the proper code flow anyway. 0 current board.bucket count .toString. Okay, let's see. Is this enough, or have I screwed up something in here somewhere? Let's see. So in theory, we're gonna have a bunch of fake players now. Assuming I didn't have a compiler error. Nope, amazing. Okay, we're gonna have 30 fake users, we think. There we go, fake 3 voted twice. Faker 17 voted. Faker 21 voted. 25, 21. Okay, this is gonna be more what it's gonna look like in theory when the game is going. There's definitely a case here where they're voting multiple times. And that's because this thing is expecting numbers that are higher. It should be this and this. Because it's expecting human numbers, 1, 2, 3 instead of 0, 1, 2. So sometimes they were choosing zeros and it wasn't counting it. That's why. Okay. Windows I do not see as having much of an appeal besides the fact that there are so many native programs, like everything is made for Windows, so anything ends up being a pain with compatibility. Yeah. Yep, that's definitely the case. So there we go. We have our fake players voting and our real players voting. Oh, let's get the sorry, I'm going to pause the game. Let's get our space in there because it looks so gross. So that's just down here when we actually log it. Just needs to be a space here, a space here. And then let's look at real quick. Why wasn't this working for more than one user? As we're going through here, we're logging the event for that user. Why was it only showing one? I'm not sure. Let's look at it again when we have tons of fake users now. Alright, here we go. Ooh. This is going in number 2. Obviously. There's something about the way where it's pushing down, and then also they're popping from the bottom that makes that list a little hard to read. I guess it's because when a new one comes in, something slides down. Now maybe if it animated and you saw it slide down, that would be easier to see. Yeah. Might want to make that into like something that's got a little animation to it. I mean, this is obviously going in 3, right? Okay, so it did get the results there. That's going in 2. Yeah, like it's a little hard to track, right? Because you're you know, when you're trying to track your own name there, it's sort of like constantly getting pushed around. All right. I was really hoping today we would get to the interstitial thing, but we ended up spending more time on this little log and cleaning up some of the stuff than I was anticipating. That's okay though. Cool. Obviously, I'm not going to actually have this like was right, was wrong list. That's not how the game's going to reveal what happened. That's just temporary for now. But I think the voted thing works pretty good. And that way you can see that your vote can't count twice. So if I put in a 3 right now and it says Walber voted, and then I say just kidding 2, it will say Walber already voted. So I know that doesn't count. Now making that animate is going to be more work. But this is nice with the fake voters implemented to try and get us, to get a little bit of a sense of ooh, I voted a 4, but then it would not let me put in a valid vote. Ah, thank you. Good test, G-Rare. Good test. Let me double check that. So I'm going to vote an appropriate number and then try and put in a real number. Yeah, okay, so let's fix that. That's a good fix to get in today. So we need bounds checking. Because right now what we're doing is right here, not here, down here, when we say that we got a vote. Currently all we do is we look to see if it's possible to turn that string into an integer. And if it is, we just blindly mark it down as your vote, which we shouldn't be doing. So let's do this. Right here, will be like bool valid vote, or even actually we could do it like this. So bool valid vote, and this means we could also put some feedback in this case. So we're going to assume it's not valid, and then we're going to set this to like, first off, can we even parse it? And then we say if it's valid in range question mark. So then we can say if guest bucket is less than 0, or guest bucket is greater than or equal to, aren't we glad we added this a second ago, current board.bucket count. Out of range. So valid vote equals false. Then this whole thing can only move forward if the vote is valid. Now, how do we want to handle? I guess what we could do is right here, we could say log event, username, what's a succinct way to say that number is out of range, right? How would we say that in a way that fits on one line? It would be like, yeah. Let's go with that. Out of range exclamation point, where we want them to be aware of what's going on there. And then there's this other case, which is right here, which would be that's not a number. I mean, then someone will be smart and they'll type like, they'll vote 1.4 or something, and it'll still say that's not a number. We could say whole number here, but then now we're going to be too long, so we'll just leave it like this. Okay, so now it should be the case that you see these happen and it doesn't count your vote. And so you should be able to revote. Let's test it. Yeah, I could say integer, but that's kind of like a programmery word, you know? Try to avoid, you know, using programmery type words for things like this. Even though if you're going to be hanging out in this stream, you're probably pretty on board with what an integer is. Oh, look at that. Faker 29 is out of range. So we've got a bug in our fakers. Look at that. Let's try this. So if I say 4, Wallaber out of range, but if I say 2, voted. Okay. And if we do like, you know, 1.4, it should say did it even get, oh, wait, that even won't work because we're only looking for single character things. So we can't even do that. If I do a single character that's like, I don't know, just the letter R or something, it should say that's not a number. Cool. Okay. Why are we getting out of range for our fakers? That's a bit of a surprise. Let's leave this running and let's go here and let's throw a breakpoint on this and see what's happening here. I'm sure it's just an off by 1 issue, but let's see. Is it gonna, we're gonna hit a breakpoint? There we go. So what happened here? User, user faker22 passed in the number 3. They shouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, they should. Right? Or is it because up here? No. Right here. Oh, it's down here. Where is it? Wait a minute. Where was the part? This is all going to be wrong because we needed to do a guessed bucket minus 1 right here. I must have deleted that line in my... Right? Yeah, because... Oh. Is that the problem? But either way, we're expecting this to be a human number. So in our case where bucket count equals 3, we're looking for 1, 2, 3, but we actually want, from a code standpoint, we want 0, 1, 2. And so what we have to do is right here, we have to say guessed bucket minus minus. Right? Do I have any other minus minuses in here? Did I miss it? Did I miss that I'm doing this somewhere else? No. Okay. Cool. So that's the right one right there. Okay. I think it was actually going to be attributing all of our votes wrong just now. No, yeah, Gerard, that's true. I could have set it to where it was just testing bigger than the bucket count, but then either way, then later I was going to need to translate that into an actual array offset between 0 and count minus 1. So I'm just doing it earlier at an earlier step. All right, so now if we type in a 4, we're out of range. I type a 3, and we're in range. Okay. Cool. So how would I do this if I wanted to make this log better? Like if I wanted to make it... animate. Probably the correct way to do that would actually to have individual text fields for each log that I'm then sliding and placing. All right, that's probably the way to do it. Girard, you voted twice? Oh, really? Really? Did you do something special to be able to do that? I wonder. Ooh, no idea where this one's going. Out of range. Okay. Voted. Did it take the second one or the first one? Let's see, because we're about to find out right here. It's obviously going in 1. Here we are. Okay, and let's see what it said here. It says you got it right, which means it threw away your 2. It looks like it threw away your 2 because it says you got it right, and it went in bucket 1. So I'm wondering if we just didn't see. Here, let's do this. Let's crank down the fakers to 0 and play normal, and we can test this a little more. Let's test your hypothesis here. So if I do an out of range like 5. Okay, then we do a 2, let's say, or whatever. And now I try and vote again, and it's going to say, I already voted. I'm trying to vote again. It says, I already voted. What if I go out of range again? It says out of range. I go back into range. Already voted. So yeah, Jiro, your 0 was not... Yeah, okay, looks like it's working. I think maybe what happened is when you typed in your subsequent vote, it happened to be a moment when tons of fakers voted, and so your message didn't even get displayed. I guess. Yeah. Looks like it's working though. Alright, so it looks like it's working. Now I gotta think through, like, I would like to make this log more readable. And probably the best way to do it would be to actually have a text entry for each display log, display event that we could then animate. So when a new one comes in, we shift down the old ones. And well, when an old one goes away, we don't need to do anything. It's just for shifting down the new ones. Yeah. Which does require a little extra logic for sure. Our trail can still get a little funky there when there's a bunch of back and forth bounces. Oh, look at that, that's cute. We were both AFK on that round. And it knew it. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, we're past an hour, so I'm gonna start to wind down here for today. I'm questioning mentally if I want to try and quickly make the log cooler. Of course I do, right? So let's try this real quick. So we're going to go into our event log, and it's actually going to need multiple of these now, one per line of text. And these are going to be set up to only be one line, like this. Okay. So then this thing, max events to display, it's actually going to... let's see. So we're going to call this instead our text reference. And then now down here, we're going to have a private. Do we need? Yeah, we do. Class text line. Okay. It's going to have a public tmpro.textmeshpro, which is the actual text. And then it's going to have... Actually, wait. No. Let's try and do this like this. So we just have a private list of tmpro.textmeshpros, and this is our lines. Okay. I'm thinking about how I'm going to do this, but yeah, I think this will work. So we do that. We're also going to need to know private float what is it, like line spacing. And well, I don't know, we'll have to figure out what this number is. It's some number. Okay, so now let's just do this. Let's just rewrite this to use these lines now and not do any animation. So that's going to be that on start, we need to actually create our line instances. So for int I equals 0, I is less than max, whatever it was, max events to display, I++, tmpro text equals, and first off we're going to set it to text reference, and then we can say if I is greater than 0, text equals instantiate a copy of the reference one. Okay. And then we will text.transform.set parent to this transform false, which means don't do any business with its position. And then we'll do text.transform.local position equals new vector 3 0. And then this is going to be lines. It's going to be line spacing times I times -1.0f. Okay, so we should be going down for each line. And for now, we'll just do text.text equals I, just to see this work. And we won't call refresh display at the start. And we need to add them to our list. Lines add text. And then just to be, I don't know, I don't know why I even do this, because it's like we're on start here. But we'll clear our list just to be extra, I don't know, diligent. Okay, so now then what we should be doing is here, when we're refreshing the display, we need to find out which line this actually is, right? Because we have this weird thing here where we're going in reverse. So int line idx is equal to what? Start tells us how many we have. Ooh, actually, let's do this differently. Let's do it like this. We're going to loop through the whole thing for int I equals 0, I is less than lines dot count I plus plus. Okay. The text is from our lines, and it's the I. Okay, and then yeah, we say content idx is going to be start minus I think. Let's think that through. So on the first loop, start will be either the last thing in our list of events or the last thing we're allowed. And I guess we could change this now to be lines dot count minus 1, even though they're identical. So start, let's say, is, since this is 10, start is going to be 9. Sort of. But let's just think this through. And then, so here we are, we're on 0, and so we say, what content should we be looking at? If we had 10 elements, we'd be like, well, start at 9 or whatever. So 9 minus 0 gives us 9. And then when we're on our last loop, I would be 9, and so that would be giving us index 0. So I think that's correct. So then if we do this, now we have to be careful here because we might be outside the range. So we have to say if content idx is greater than or equal to 0, because we could go into negative numbers here if we have fewer events than lines to show, and we're on a line that's down below where nothing is showing. So in that case, we would just say, oh, we're not going to do this content plus equals junk. Look at this. We're getting rid of our garbage. When we're just going to say text.text equals. And then here we would be like text.text equals nothing. Okay. So now we go back here. We have more fields here. Let's look at this. So how far down? This one is actually at... Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so we actually want this to be at 0 for our event log, okay? And so then let's duplicate this and say we want the next line to be here. So it's going to be negative 0.42, it looks like. All right, so we get rid of this. And we say line spacing is 0.42. Okay. And our reference text is this one. Okay. Okay, so now this is placed wrong, but that's okay. We just fix it. Like that. All right, and let's get rid of all this junk here. There's a single log line, and then we should... Why didn't it like that? And then we should revert. Let's do this. Overrides revert all. Okay, there we go. So now it looks like our prefab. Now, when I run this, okay, there we go. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. And now when things happen in the game, like if I vote, it drew it at the top. Okay. I do something else. It says already voted, and it pushed the other one down and it deleted it. So it looks like we've got it looking identical to the way it was a second ago, but now we have individual text fields. Okay. let's turn back on the fake users so we can see more activity in this log. So we go back here to Game Manager, and let's give ourselves 15 fake players. Let's watch it and see if it looks correct-ish. The Faker 1 voted, 10 voted, now Faker 1 get pushed down, it goes away. 5 voted, 10 went away. Looks like it's generally behaving okay. I guess it would probably be a good idea to try and overflow it and just make sure that doesn't break. I don't think it will. Okay, it looks like overflowing it doesn't break it. Sorry for the spam in the chat. Okay, so now in theory, here's how I think we want to do this. So we have our lines of text. Let's say there's currently 3, right? So this is 0, oops. This is 0, this is 1, and this is 2 in our array. And we want to now add a new one. So what needs to happen is all of these need to visibly shift down. And then we need to have a new 0 that fills in. So what I think I will do is... Ooh, okay, the simple way to do this. The simple way to do this is we actually shuffle down all the text. Right? Then we work out how many new lines are added. We slide everything up by that much, and then we slide them back down. And for this to work, we need to be able to clip the text so that it doesn't draw past some limit, which would be really easy to do if I was using the UI system, which means it might make sense to put this whole thing in a little canvas. I wonder... You know, like, because what will happen then is that the new one will show up like this, and then it will slide down in. Now what I could do is I could wait until the animation is over and then pop in the new one. That might be the easiest way to handle it. Let's try it. Let's try it with the pop-in scenario. So what we need to do... We need more information here in refresh display now. Like, we need to know if something got added. So we'll do this int added count equals 0. So when you call it when you were cleaning things up, added count is 0 and we don't do anything special. But when we add stuff, which would be here, I guess it's always going to be 1. So in the case where things come in rapidly, we have to think about what we do in that scenario. Do we just queue them up? Or what? Right. A simpler way to do this would be to keep a queue of all the events that have come in, and then have this separate thing that's trying to display those events, and it has a max rate at which it can do it because it slides in new events one by one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do it that way. So that means what we need is, we need a thing called private queue. And queue is a first in, first out, so that's what we want. And we want just a string, a queue of strings. Right, and these are queued events. Okay, and so when you log event, actually all we're going to do is we're going to say queued events.enqueue this content. And then that's it. And then this is going to happen in update. So at the top of update, anything queued, and I guess we're actually going to have a little boolean or something here. Let's do that. So private bool animating is false. Okay, and then we can say, okay, so if we're not animating, and if the queued events dot count is greater than 0, then dequeue it, which is going to look something like this, where we say string content equals queued events dot what is it, dot pop, no, dot dequeue. So we pull that out of the queue, then we create a new event, we add it in here, and we refresh the display with a 1, meaning we've gone down, we're adding one new line, which is going to cause an animation to happen. Okay, and then the rest of this can stay as is, although it would probably be a good idea if we did this when we're not animating. Let's do that. So if we're not animating, then we can do this stuff like that. Okay, so now when we hit refresh display, right here, was this an added text, an added line? So if added count is greater than 0, animate, and we're going to try doing a tween thing for this, so this should be interesting. So what we'll do is we'll say animating equals true, and then we'll go loop through all of our lines, right? And like I was showing, what we want to do is we want to move them all up 1 and then slide them in. And it also means, though, that line 0, we're going to want to delay the showing of it. So we can do that right here. If I equals 0, then yeah, the bottom one GRare probably should fade out as well. Okay, look, I'm going to clean this up afterwards. Let's see if we can get the animation working. So what we want to do, though, is like the thing that was 0 is now entry 1, right? Because a new thing came in for 0. So we need to temporarily place 1 where 0 was and slide it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to do text.transform.do. I have to include my do tween stuff. I forgot what it is. What is it? It's like using dg.tweening. Okay, so we should be able to say .transform.do move, do move y. Okay, what's the end value? So the end value is, and is there a way where we can say if this is in local space or in world space or whatever? Let's see. Do local move y is what we want. Okay, and the end value is going to be the same thing as this. So we want to move to here. And the duration is something we need to have, so this will be animation duration. Snapping false. Then we want to say from. Okay, and the value we're coming from is equivalent to this, but it's I minus 1. And now we need animation duration. Okay. So let's have one of those, please. Okay, probably like what, 0.3f or so? And then And then we need to know when we're done, so we can set animating as true to false. So yeah, and GR, actually, now that these are individual text elements, fading them out should be quite simple. May mean, though, that if our max is 10, I need an 11th one. So for temporarily, I can be showing 11 while the first one is sliding in and the last one is fading out. But we can work on that. I mean, I guess it would mean that if you set it to 10, that in practice the maximum is 9 or whatever. And then we want to do, what does this thing return? DG, tweening core, tweener core, blah, 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 blah. Because we need like an on complete. The problem is we're doing that. I don't like that we're doing this in. I don't really want to get a callback on for all of them. I just kind of want a callback for one of them. Which I think if I knew tween better, I could put this into like a sequence or something. But what we could do instead is we could just be like float end y equals. Grab this. And then float start y equals this. And then we can be like, this is kind of gross, but if I equals 0, do this thing, which goes from, or goes to end y from start y. And it has an on complete, which is just going to be our a little like thing here where we set is animating. I think I can do it like that. Right? Isn't it is animating? Just animating. Okay. All right. And then we'll just be like, if it's not the other one, do the same thing, but we don't need a callback. So we just don't have that part at the end there. Okay, let's see if this is kind of close to the right thing. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to see the new text appear up here and slide down, which will look kind of gross, I think. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Doesn't look too bad because it's layering behind the thing. Look at that. Dang. Yeah, that looked pretty good. Let's make them fade out. Sorry, Jira. I didn't mean to. I should give a warning if I'm gonna undo play mode. So the other thing then we could do here is up here. In update. Now I don't want this. I'm gonna get rid of that. And we could do a thing right here. Now how do we know which? Yeah, so this would be. Yeah, so the cheesy way to do this would be to do the same basic thing here. So it would be like this. Let's see, we can get rid of this. Get rid of this. And the cheesy way to do this would be like, we bring this concept in here. So this is like, what is this? Last display line or whatever. And then we would do the same basic check here to turn this into knowing which display text line we're talking about here. And then in theory, like we could just do something like this where we're like color C equals lines content idx dot color, and then we could say C dot A equals math clamp 0 to 1 events I dot time remaining. I think that will work. And then we say lines content index dot color equals C. What this should do is they'll now fade out over their last second of life. And we may have some bugs here where the color doesn't get reset all the time, but let's find out. So now in theory, when someone votes, as they're coming through the last second of being visible, they fade out. See? Oh my gosh, look at that. It's pretty cool. Now we could do this now where we don't right now each message has a duration, right? Like it's like I can show on the screen for 15 seconds and then I get out of there, which means this thing's trying to like keep this portion of the screen clean. We could instead just make it though that they stay around until they get pushed off the edge as well. But this is, oh my god, this is so much cleaner. Now, it was not going to look really great if someone... You know what we could do, though? Is... Check this out. We're going to also fade in the first line, which means all we have to do is we just have to add this right here. Text dot color dot do... or text dot do color. Right? And then we'll just say, yeah, the end value is color.white. And this is animation duration. And then the from is color.clear. Let's do new color, which is 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, 0.0. Let's try that. And that actually should fade in that first line. For the length of time called animation duration. And then I really should make it so that we can control how fast these fade out. In order to do that, I need to do a little better math right here to convert this into like a better number. But this should now make the first line fade in. Let's see if it does. Oh, okay. I didn't really notice it. Did it fade in? I feel like it. Yeah, it faded in. That looks nice, right? That looks cool. So much easier to read now. You can actually follow your own name, which if you're playing this, you're mostly just looking for your own name, right? We could also do something here where we put the usernames in a different color, and then the wording afterwards in a different color, or the whole message could get a color. So like a red message would be, you know, like a warning or an error, and like a green one or whatever would be, or you know, just this white like it is right now would be no, you know, neutral or whatever. Ugh, this looks nice. Looks very nice. Now let's, we could change the display duration. It's only 5 seconds right now. It's probably too short. Can you get the username color from Twitch? Excellent question. Let's find out. Let's see. I doubt it. I bet we could get things like different user statuses and then use that to choose a color. Let's show things for longer though. We're gonna show these for 15 seconds. I'm really happy with that quick animation though. That worked out great. Let's double check though. So if we go to Game Manager here, in a scenario where we actually have a chat message, like, oh no, let's go. I have to go back to Twitch client. What have we got here? So we have the command, and the command tells us the chat message, and the chat message tells us the user ID, the username, and user type. What is user type? It is this, which is viewer, moderator, global moderator, broadcaster, admin, and staff. So we could at least like do different colors based on that very easily. because I kind of assume that the chat that's what the chat is doing. Although things like if they're a subscriber or not is a different thing. And I think in order to get at that, I have to do a separate call to learn more about the user, which we're probably eventually going to need to do anyway, because I think we're going to want to show profile pics. Although I know a lot of viewers on Twitch don't have a profile pic set up. So we may... I'm thinking about doing a thing. So let me just describe what it turns out. I thought I was going to do this stream, but it turns out I'm going to do next stream. So what we're going to do is when after a round is gone through, we're going to switch to an interstitial screen where the board goes away. And my current plan is that like we're going to have this layout like this, where the current top 3 people get displayed like this, and then say the next, I don't know, whatever it is, like say 4 are displayed like this, and then it's kind of, it gets like scaled down even more, and more people fit on a row like that, like this or whatever. Okay, and so but each one of these are essentially a square, and so then we have room for an image, and then their name, or maybe actually it'd probably be like their name, room for an image, and their score. And so everyone will be displayed like this, all laid out like this, for however many players there currently are, right? And then here we'll see things like if they got it right, their score will go up all at once. Like everyone who got it right, their score is going to go up a little bit, or possibly in order of when they voted. So the people who, probably like in reverse order. So if you voted towards the end, you get a little bump, and then all the people that voted earlier than you get a bigger bump, and then the people that voted earlier than you get a bigger bump. And so all these scores will change. And then everyone that got it wrong, whatever's going to happen to your score when you got it wrong will happen. And then everyone's going to shuffle. So if this player was now in 4th place, they would move and scale down to here, and if like this player did amazing, whoa, and they're now in 1st place, they would move and scale up to here, and think that everything would shuffle around and stuff. And then after that shuffling is done, we would go back to the board and see the next board. And so my thinking was that anytime we recognize a user, if we haven't seen them before since the game was run, we can call to try and get their profile pic, and if they have one, we use that. But I was also thinking it might be cool if there was a command where you could type like !use space and then drop in an emote, and then it would use that emote to represent you, which I think would be pretty cool. Considering that a lot of viewers on Twitch, I think, don't have a specific profile pic showed up because it doesn't really display in anywhere all that relevant. But emotes are such a bigger deal that maybe doing like an !use and then dropping in an emote, and then you'll be sort of like, it'll be your sort of, visual representation, especially in this screen here. And I think this is gonna be fun. I think this like whole thing where they like shuffle and do everything actually will be pretty easy to do using this do tween stuff, because I can sort of sequence things together pretty simply, and I think it'll look really cool. It's going to involve that we have to build these little squares that can be scaled so that we can move and scale them when we shuffle them around and stuff. And that way, I like the look of this because I think then it could handle a really large number of players. If it's like, its default is like after the first row, you have like 2 rows of some new amount per row, and then like 2 more at a larger number and larger number and larger number. And so it could get to the point where like there's just these tiny little things down here and you can't even read it, but it'll look cool because like, wow, look how many people are playing, Another reason why those fake users are going to be useful. And I'll probably have like a different background color behind these squares to give it some kind of like cool grid feel. So that, I think, now is what we're going to tackle next week, because we got what we got done today is pretty solid and puts us in a good place to finally get that next piece of the sequencing in, which is going to be kind of the last piece to get the game playing in the overall intended flow, so we can start actually like maybe playing it for longer and seeing how it works. And I do need to decide what happens when you guess wrong. The most extreme version would be your score resets to 0. And so then this whole thing is about getting consecutive votes right, and the leaderboard is really changing a lot. Or I could do, and I think there would probably be an AFK threshold where if you don't vote, that's okay. Maybe always that's okay, or after a few AFKs, it starts counting them as misvotes or something. I don't know. We'll see. And then yeah, but what or I could make it that if you vote wrong, we cut your score in half or something like that. So it's not quite as volatile, but it's still really like more emphasizing getting multiple votes right in a row, and the leaderboard would still be really volatile. Or we just do like a minus thing where it's like it's some value, and maybe like you get one wrong and it's like a certain number, but if you get another one wrong, it's like a bigger number that it subtracts from your score. So it's kind of this escalating penalty, something like that. Could be kind of cool. That is something that will just be a few options we can try out, and once we have the recap screen in, we'll really be able to kind of get a feel for what it's like to play long enough to see if it's dramatic and interesting or if it's kind of like repetitive and boring, Ooh, this is a nice path that the ball took this time. Look at that pretty path. So clearly going into bucket 2. Cool. Yeah, so I think we're getting somewhere. And then once we get the interstitials in, the next step would be to make it so we can have multiple board layouts, and it's actually loading different board layouts and stuff. That'll be the next big one. And then we'll have most of the game in some form working. I think we probably still want a stopwatch type thing displaying somewhere. It says how much time is left in each voting subsection. And then that last one where the score is 0, instead of saying 0, it should probably say like reveal or something. Probably want some particle effects and stuff when the ball actually goes in the buckets, all sorts of stuff eventually. But this is really getting somewhere. I'm excited. Cool. All right. Well, the music has stopped, and that is my cue to stop for the night. Thanks for the participation and the discussion, as always. Really appreciate it. And I'll probably be back streaming again tomorrow, but I'm not sure. I'm kind of alternating days where I'm working more on Pro Gymnast stuff and then trying to keep this as a secondary project. Even though it's at that stage where it's really fun to work on right now because you get lots of progress each time. But I'll probably be back maybe Tuesday or something for the next episode of this game, which I'm going to call Chat Predicts, I think. All right, thanks again, and see everyone next time.